Your life doesn't change when your circumstances change. It changes when your thinking does. Most people suffer not from a lack of talent, but from a poor thinking pattern that sabotages their own greatness. In a world filled with noise, distractions, and negative conditioning, learning how to think correctly is the most powerful skill you can master. This isn't just motivation, it's a mental transformation. If you're tired of feeling stuck, overwhelmed, or constantly doubting yourself, then this message will rewire your mind for clarity, control, and purpose. Let's begin the journey of mental mastery. Number 1, you are not your thoughts. You are the observer. One of the most profound realizations you can have in life is this: you are not your thoughts. You are the observer of your thoughts. Most people go through life enslaved by their minds. A negative thought arises and they believe it. A fearful scenario appears in their imagination and they emotionally react to it as if it's already happening. The mind untrained becomes the master and you become its prisoner. But here's the truth. Your thoughts are just mental events. They come and go like clouds passing through the sky. Some are helpful, some are harmful, and most are simply noise. But you are not the cloud. You are the sky, the stillness behind it all. The moment you realize this, everything changes. When a thought like "I'm not good enough" enters your mind, you can now observe it instead of believing it. You can say, "That's interesting. Where did that come from?" rather than emotionally collapsing into it. This space between the thought and your reaction to it is where all your power lies. It is the birthplace of peace, discipline, and conscious living. Think of your mind like a radio station. It's constantly broadcasting ideas, fears, memories, and fantasies. But you are the listener. You can tune in or tune out. You can even change the station entirely. Meditation, mindfulness, journaling, these are all tools to help you cultivate the observer mindset. But even right now, take a breath. Become aware of the voice in your head. And then become aware of the awareness watching it. That's you. Why does this matter? Because most people are their thoughts. They don't have them, they are them. And that's why they suffer. Once you detach and see thoughts for what they are, temporary mental activity, you no longer drown in them, you float above them with clarity and calm. Correct thinking begins when you stop reacting to every thought and start watching them like a wise guardian. This is where freedom begins. Not in controlling every thought, but in not letting your thoughts control you. You are not your mind. You are the master of your mind. Number 2, train your mind like a muscle. Just like your body needs regular exercise to grow stronger, your mind requires daily training to become sharper, tougher, and more focused. Yet most people spend hours sculpting their physique while completely ignoring their most powerful tool, their mind. Your thoughts shape your reality. Your mindset determines your direction. But a weak, undisciplined mind will break under pressure, fall into negative spirals, and give up at the first sign of resistance. That's why you must approach your mental fitness the same way an athlete approaches the gym, with structure, intention, and consistency. Imagine this: if you went to the gym once a month, would you expect results? Of course not. The same goes for mental strength. Watching one motivational video or reading one quote won't transform your life. Mental discipline is built through repetition and practice. Every day you wake up, you're given an opportunity to strengthen your mindset. Start your mornings with intention. Read, reflect, meditate, journal, or visualize. These small habits compound. Over time, they transform the way you think, respond, and lead your life. Negative thoughts? That's like mental junk food. You have to replace them with clean, empowering thoughts, just like you replace soda with water. Every time you choose focus over distraction, courage over fear, gratitude over complaint, you're lifting the mental weight. You're getting stronger. You wouldn't skip leg day if you wanted a balanced physique. Don't skip mental training if you want a balanced life. Feed your mind with wisdom. Challenge yourself to learn something new. Reflect on your thoughts. Push yourself outside your comfort zone. That's where growth lives. In the beginning it might feel awkward. Just like the first workout leaves you sore, training your mind may feel uncomfortable. But that's how you know it's working. The discomfort is a sign of progress. A trained mind doesn't panic in chaos. It stays calm. A trained mind doesn't quit when it's tired. It pushes through with clarity. A trained mind sees solutions, not problems. That's the power of a mentally strong person. So don't just work on your body. Work on your mindset with the same intensity. Because when the mind is strong, everything else follows. Number 3, delete the virus of negative self-talk. If your mind is the operating system of your life, then negative self-talk is the virus that silently corrupts everything. You may not see it right away, but over time, it drains your confidence, poisons your potential, and convinces you to settle for less. Every time you say to yourself, I'm not good enough, or I'll never succeed, you are not describing your reality. You are creating it. Your words, especially the ones you repeat to yourself, have power. They become beliefs, and beliefs drive behavior. Think of your mind like a garden. Negative self-talk is the weed. If left unchecked, it spreads, chokes out your progress, and overshadows your growth. You must become ruthless with the inner critic. You don't reason with weeds. You remove them. But where does this self-talk come from? Often, it's not even yours. It's inherited from your past. Parents, teachers, bullies, failures, and fears. Somewhere along the way, you absorbed limiting messages and accepted them as truth. But today, you get to challenge them. You get to rewrite the script. Start by paying attention. Catch yourself in the act. Notice the language you use when you talk to yourself. Would you say those same words to a friend you love? If not, why say them to yourself? Once you're aware, replace those negative phrases with truth-based affirmations. Instead of, I always mess things up, say, I've made mistakes, but I'm learning and improving. Instead of, I'm not smart enough, try, I can figure things out with effort and time. Over time, this rewiring changes your mental blueprint. It upgrades your self-picture. And that new image becomes the foundation for action, achievement, and inner peace. It's not about fake positivity. It's about mental hygiene, choosing language that supports your growth rather than sabotaging it. Delete the virus. Don't allow old lies to dictate your future. Build a mental environment where belief, encouragement, and self-respect are the default settings. Because when you change the way you speak to yourself, you change the way you see yourself. And when you see yourself differently, you live differently. So speak to yourself like someone worth fighting for, because you are. Number 4, questions are the steering wheel of the mind. Your mind is constantly searching for direction, and questions are what guide it. They are not just tools for gathering information. They are commands to your brain. And the quality of your life is often shaped by the quality of questions you repeatedly ask yourself. Think of questions as the steering wheel of your thoughts. Ask empowering questions, and your mind focuses on solutions, possibilities, and growth. Ask destructive questions, and your mind spirals into fear, doubt, and self-sabotage. For example, consider the difference between these two questions. Why does everything always go wrong for me? What can I learn from this, and how can I grow stronger? The first question traps you in victimhood. It assumes you are powerless. The second question activates your inner strength. It makes you resourceful. It shifts your focus from pain to purpose. Your brain is like a search engine. Ask it a question and it will give you answers, whether those answers help or hurt. If you ask, why am I so unlucky? Your mind will dig up all your failures. But if you ask, what's one thing I can control right now? Your mind begins solving problems and regaining control. This is why self-inquiry is so powerful. In moments of struggle, ask yourself, what is this situation trying to teach me? How can I use this to grow stronger or wiser? What's the next best move I can take right now? What would the strongest version of me do in this moment? These types of questions train your mind to look forward, not backward. They steer you away from despair and toward clarity, purpose, and strength. Even your daily life can be transformed through questions. Instead of starting your day with anxiety or autopilot, ask, what am I grateful for today? What kind of energy do I want to bring to this day? Who can I encourage or help today? Over time, asking intentional questions becomes a habit, and that habit becomes a mindset, one that doesn't collapse under pressure but rises with purpose. So remember this: if your mind feels lost, don't force the answer, change the question. Your life will follow where your questions lead. Number 5, think in solutions, not in problems. When life throws obstacles your way, you have two choices: focus on the problem or focus on the solution. Most people unconsciously choose the first. They dwell, complain, overthink, and replay what went wrong. But none of that moves you forward. If anything, it traps you in a cycle of stress and helplessness. Thinking in problems is reactive. It makes you a victim. But thinking in solutions is proactive. It turns you into a creator. Every successful person, every high achiever, every resilient soul you admire has one thing in common. They don't waste energy magnifying problems. They focus on how to solve them. Solution-oriented thinking is a mindset, a habit, a skill you can develop. Here's the key: problems are inevitable, but suffering over them is optional. You can't always control what happens, but you can always control how you respond. And your response begins with where you place your mental attention. Instead of asking, why is this happening to me? Ask, what can I do about this right now? What's one small step forward I can take today? Even the biggest problems become manageable when you break them down and look for openings instead of dead ends. Solutions often hide in plain sight, but you'll never see them if your mind is too clouded with fear, blame, or frustration. Solution-oriented thinking also fuels confidence. When your default mode is, let me figure this out, rather than this is too much, you begin to trust yourself. That trust becomes momentum, and momentum turns into success. This mindset doesn't mean ignoring problems or being naively optimistic. It means refusing to be paralyzed by challenges. It means you take the wheel of your life and say, okay, this is hard, but I'm harder. Here's a truth that will change your life. Every problem has a solution or a lesson. Sometimes the solution is practical. Other times it's a shift in perspective, patience, or learning. But either way, there's something to gain. So the next time you face difficulty, catch yourself before you spiral. Take a deep breath and ask, where is the solution hiding? Because the moment you stop fixating on what's wrong and start thinking about what you can do, that's the moment your power returns. Number 6, Control the inputs. Guard the gates of your mind. Your mind is like a garden, and what you allow into it will either grow flowers or weeds. If you want clarity, strength, and peace in your life, you must control the inputs that influence your thinking. In other words, guard the gates of your mind. Most people are not suffering because of who they are. They are suffering because of what they've been feeding their minds. The news, social media, gossip, toxic conversations, fear-based content, these are all mental junk food. And just like unhealthy food weakens your body, unfiltered mental input weakens your mind. Ask yourself, who are you listening to every day? What kind of content are you absorbing? What environments do you keep exposing yourself to? You become what you consume. If you constantly feed your mind with doubt, drama, and distractions, you will think and live at that low frequency. But if you fuel your thoughts with truth, growth, discipline, and faith, your mindset becomes sharp, stable, and unstoppable. You must be intentional with your mental diet. Just like you wouldn't eat food that's spoiled or poisonous, you shouldn't accept every idea or influence that enters your space. Filter it, question it, reject what doesn't serve your purpose. Here's how you can start. Replace mindless scrolling with mindful reading or learning. Unfollow accounts that drain your energy or make you feel less than. Limit your exposure to fear-driven media. Spend time in silence, nature, or meditation to reset. Surround yourself with people who speak life, not limited. Remember, even one negative influence, one bad voice in your ear can plant doubt, insecurity, or fear that takes days or weeks to recover from. Don't let just anything or anyone enter your mind. You are the gatekeeper. And this isn't about being perfect or living in a bubble. It's about protecting your focus, your peace, and your power. Your future depends on your mental state. And your mental state depends on what you allow in. So be ruthless with your boundaries. Curate your influences like your life depends on it, because in many ways it does. Guard your gates, feed your mind, protect your peace. Number 7, replace emotion-driven reactions with logic-driven responses. In moments of pressure, frustration, or fear, most people don't respond, they react. And those reactions are usually driven by emotion, not reason. But here's the truth. Emotions are temporary, consequences are not. If you want to master your life, you must learn to pause the reaction and choose the response. Emotions are powerful and necessary. They tell us something about our experience, but they're not always accurate. If you allow anger, insecurity, or ego to take the wheel, you may say or do things that hurt your future, your relationships, or your inner peace. That's why emotional intelligence is not about suppressing feelings. It's about managing them wisely. When something triggers you, your mind can enter fight or flight mode. Your heart races, your thoughts race. And if you're not aware, you'll act impulsively, say something you regret, make a rash decision, or shut down completely. But in that moment, you have power. The power to pause. That pause is your superpower. In the space between stimulus and response, there is freedom. You can ask, what's really happening here? Am I reacting to the situation or to a story I'm telling myself? What response would serve me best in the long run? This is where logic steps in. Logic doesn't mean emotionless. It means strategic. It means seeing the bigger picture. It means responding in a way that reflects your values, your vision, and your self-control, not your momentary mood. Training yourself to lead with logic takes time, but it starts with self-awareness. Learn your emotional triggers. Recognize the warning signs, tight chest, shallow breathing, racing mind. When they arise, breathe, center yourself, speak later, not in the heat of the moment. Great leaders, warriors, and thinkers don't make decisions in chaos. They create stillness within. That's the difference between someone who reacts and someone who responds. One burns bridges, the other builds them. So next time anger, anxiety, or ego tries to take over, remember, you are not a slave to emotion. You are the master of your choices. Let your wisdom, not your wounds, guide you. Respond like the person you want to become, not like the person you're trying to outgrow. Number 8. Think long-term, act daily. In a world obsessed with instant results, fast rewards, and overnight success, very few people think long-term. But if you want to build a life of true impact, peace, and fulfillment, you must train yourself to adopt a long-term mindset while showing up with daily discipline. Your future is built in your present. Every small action you take today either brings you closer to your long-term vision or pulls you further away from it. The key is to dream in decades but execute in days. Think like a visionary. Move like a craftsman. When you focus only on the short term, your emotions dictate your actions. If you're tired, you quit. If it gets boring, you stop. But when you're anchored in a long-term vision, you show up regardless of how you feel, because you know you're building something greater than the discomfort of the moment. Ask yourself, what kind of life do I want 5 or 10 years from now? What kind of person do I want to become? What habits would that version of me be doing every single day? Now, reverse engineer your day based on that vision. Don't wait for motivation. Take action. Small, deliberate steps every single day. Because it's not what you do once in a while that shapes your destiny. It's what you do consistently. Want to get in shape? It's not about killing yourself in the gym once. It's about showing up daily. Want financial freedom? It's not one lucky investment. It's disciplined saving, learning, and managing money wisely. Want unshakable self-confidence? It's not built overnight. It's earned through small daily wins. The long-term thinker is patient. They don't chase dopamine. They chase purpose. And that's rare in a world that rewards speed over substance. But that's also why long-term thinkers are the ones who rise above the noise and create meaningful success. So think long, dream big, but act now. Take the next right step today, because 1 year of disciplined daily action is more powerful than 10 years of scattered hustle. Time will pass either way. Make sure your future self is proud of how you're using it. Number 9. Repetition rewires the brain. Practice correct thinking daily. Your brain is not fixed. It's not set in stone. In fact, it's constantly changing and adapting based on how you use it. This incredible ability is called neuroplasticity, and it means that you have the power to retrain your mind through consistent, focused repetition. Just like going to the gym builds muscle, repeating the right thoughts builds a stronger, more focused mind. If you want to break toxic patterns, build confidence, or develop unshakable inner strength, you don't need magic. You need repetition. Here's the truth. Your current mindset is simply the result of what you've repeated over and over again. If you've been telling yourself, I'm not good enough for years, your brain has wired that as your default belief. But the same principle works in your favor. Start feeding your mind with powerful, uplifting, and truth-based thoughts. And over time, those thoughts become your new mental foundation. It's not about saying something once and hoping it sticks. It's about training your brain through daily habits. Affirmations. Visualization. gratitude journaling, reflective reading, mindful self-talk. Even 5 to 10 minutes of focused mental training each day can completely shift how you think, feel, and act. Why is this so important? Because in moments of stress, fear, or self-doubt, your brain will default to its most familiar patterns. If you haven't conditioned it with truth and clarity, it will fall back into fear and confusion. But if you've rehearsed strength, focus, and calm, those will be your automatic responses. Remember this: your thoughts create your emotions. Your emotions shape your decisions, and your decisions build your life. That's why mastering your thoughts through repetition isn't optional. It's essential. Rewiring your mind is not a one-time event. It's a daily practice. It's waking up and choosing to think on purpose, to feed your faith, not your fear, to focus on growth, not limitation. Day after day, brick by brick, belief by belief, you're building a powerful inner world. So be patient. Stay consistent. Trust the process. Because when you master repetition, you don't just change your thoughts, you change your life. Final message: the mind is your battlefield. Win it daily. My friend, as we close this journey of transformation, remember this: your mind is the command center of your life. If you think correctly, you live correctly. If your mind is aligned, your life will align. Every dream you want to achieve, every storm you must weather, every breakthrough you long for, it all begins in the silent war between your ears. Do not underestimate the power of a single thought. A single thought can break you, or it can build you. A single belief can limit you, or it can launch you. That's why you must guard your mind like your life depends on it. Because it does. Advice for the journey ahead: choose awareness over autopilot. Be mindful of what you think, say, and believe. Speak to yourself with kindness, not criticism. You're growing, and growth takes time. Feed your mind with truth. Cut out the noise. Filter the lies. Focus on what lifts you. Practice correct thinking daily. It's not a one-time event. It's a lifetime discipline. Respond with wisdom, not reaction. Breathe, think. Choose your next step carefully. Don't chase results, build habits. Results follow those who act with consistency. Surround yourself with people who think higher. Energy is contagious. Visualize the person you are becoming. Let that vision drive your choices. Even when life gets dark, when emotions rise, and when doubt creeps in, you now have the tools. You know how to breathe through it, reframe it, and rise above it. A closing prayer for your mind and life. May your thoughts be filled with clarity, your actions guided by purpose, and your heart grounded in peace. May every lie you believed about yourself be replaced by truth. May your mind be sharp, your spirit unshakable, and your journey forward full of divine wisdom. May you rise above fear, overcome the noise, and walk boldly into the life you were created for. Amen. Go forward with confidence, not because life will be easy, but because you are now equipped. You don't just know how to think, you know how to think correctly. And that changes everything.